A beautiful night here in Norman. Welcome to John Crane Field as we get set for the second SEC match for both of these teams, Florida and Oklahoma, and both looking for their first points of the SEC season. Hi there again with former All-SEC forward Marion Crowder. I'm Alex Perlman. Marion, let's start with Florida. Last season, it was offense that was the issue. They couldn't find the goals, and this year they've been giving up way too many.
Particularly as it pertains with closing down the space or lack thereof. Now, look, we're going to take you all the way back to their game against Arkansas last week. McCloskey, she's got to release because they're chasing the game, but they lose an individual battle in a can't-lose area of the field. Now you've got acres of space in front of you, and that releases Arkansas for a transitional moment the other way. You're actually up +1 defensively. Good rest defense. Now it's about stepping. No more delaying. You're at the top of the 18. You have got to keep this player to the outer part of the field. Paloma Pena, she's way too far off her line. That, Alex, cannot go near post, and that is something Samantha Bohan, from an individual perspective, wants to see better today. Yeah, has been a little bit disappointed with the defense this year. 15 goals allowed in 8 matches, second most in the SEC behind Texas. Oklahoma and Matt Mott coach team scores, and that's exactly what they've done to get off to one of their best starts in program history. But unfortunately, their leading scorer, Naomi Clark, is out after suffering a concussion 2 days ago, and she is going to be out the entire weekend. That's going to push Hadley Morrell up top alongside Kayla Kiefer, who is such a hard-nosed, gritty defender. She's going to work for a lot of service. Now, Naomi Clark, very good in the air. They will be without that today, but Hadley Morrell is a poacher. She is someone who understands runs inside the 18-yard box and where to find the vacancies. 3 massive points are up for grabs. A couple of teams that don't have any yet here in the SEC season. Will the Sooners or Gators grab them? We'll find out next. Down on the pitch. Let's meet the starting 11 for both squads and start with the visiting Gators, going with a 4-3-1-2 under Samantha Bohan in her 4th year. And a big change in goal. Jaden Emanuel getting her first collegiate start ever. She was previously splitting time with Paloma Pena. She's going to be the outright starter today, but keep your eye on Addie Hess. She is the 9 that they didn't have. Quite a natural way about her game, and she's truly someone that is great back to goal. That's going to be really important for this Florida side as they deal with an Oklahoma attack who likes to press. Now, we told you about Hadley Morrell and the difference that she brings as opposed to Naomi Clark. She's going to be paired with Kayla Kiefer up top, but it's all about the 5 underneath, specifically Dendis and Washington, the left and the right wing backs. They are going to make the diamond of Florida run today. They're going to be up and down 18-18, and they're going to give us some really good 1v1 battles to watch. And with Naomi Clark out for Matt Mott, Juliet Rayo gets her second start at the 10 role. Matt coming over from Ole Miss just 3 seasons ago, where he really took that program to a different level, but everything technically is still there here in Norman. Samantha Bohan trying to resurrect this Gator program. So proud, the 1998 national champions under Becky Burley, who had a majestic career. And the Bohan is trying to restore the Gator greatness in Gainesville. Kayla Kiefer ready to go, the sophomore who came over from Ole Miss before this season. You see, it has been a while for Florida. Their second win against a ranked opponent under Samantha Bohan is what they would get. They have not won an SEC road game since 2023, and automatically Oklahoma off on the front foot. Jaden Emanuel out to grab it. And the first test passed for the new starting keeper for now for the Gators. It has really gone back and forth this season. We have seen almost every match Paloma Pena start. She gets the first half, and then after the interval, Jaden Emanuel comes in, and she did not allow a goal against Arkansas a week ago in Gainesville. Ended up losing that one 3-2. All 3 of the Razorback goals scored in that first half. And Marion, they didn't allow a shot in the second. So defensively, this is a team that is starting to feel a bit of momentum. It was a completely different second half Florida Gators side. The message at halftime absolutely worked, and they actually really felt like they could play with Arkansas, and the key to that was that those 3 goals that they gave up, they were really kind of soft, right? They were self-inflicted wounds, and that's what Samantha Bohan wants to see cleaned up here at Oklahoma.
The Gators 4-4-0 this season. Oklahoma, the number 24 team in the country, coming in to this week. 7-1-1 with a win. 8-1-1 would be their best start since 2005 when they were 9-1. Ended up getting to 11 wins before their next loss. This is going to go all the way back for Abby Gemma, and the Notre Dame transfer taps it to Emmanuel. Some impact transfers on this Gators team. One of them we talked about, Addie Hess from Penn State, redshirted last year, but she is the Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year in the high school ranks back in 2024. A couple of players for Florida that can claim that honor. We got our first corner of the match coming up, and it will go to Oklahoma.
Sooner fans, put those ones in the air. It's a corner kick. Oklahoma.
Here's Lexi Dendis, the reigning Conference USA Freshman of the Year when she was at Middle Tennessee State. 4 goals, 4 assists. For the sophomore from Flemington, New Jersey. Whipped towards the near post and Sky just over the bar. That's a good start, though, offensively, as it found the head of Riley Brown coming over from Washington before the year.
Set pieces, something that Samantha Bohan, again on the defensive side of the ball, wants to see cleaned up. And look, right now, if you're Oklahoma, the biggest key to this match is scoring first. This is a Florida Gator side that rides off momentum, and this is an Oklahoma side that is very dangerous in those dead ball situations. Look for them to create more and more of that.
Oklahoma feasts on set pieces, just like the Ole Miss teams of yore from Matt Mott. 56 corners to 27, but actually Florida is the one that when you come into this, you say maybe they have the advantage on those dead ball opportunities. 62 corners to allowing just 18, and that's been an area that Samantha Bohan specifically told us she worked at in training, and it's something that's near and dear to her heart because 13 goals for her senior season at Duke, 12 of them came with her head, so it's something she knows a lot about. When you talk with Samantha, you can see it is there. They are just waiting to reap the fruits of that labor. And so far, in terms of results, it hasn't come. They lost to Georgia State. They have had some really tough ones, as well. When you look up and down their schedule, they played well against number 3 Florida State. Maybe the best that they have played against them since Bohan has gotten on campus. A narrow loss to UCF right at the death. And then against Arkansas, they were the best team in the second half.
I think the key that a lot of people forget about this Florida side, as you mentioned, we're really seeing the blueprint of what Samantha Bohan wants to do. She's starting to get some results, especially on the attacking side of the ball, just in terms of production. Last year, they just didn't have enough depth to cover the key injuries that they suffered.
How about Caroline Duffy coming all the way up to take that free kick as it bounced down to the box, and Kaija Karras sends it to freedom. Recycled for Kiefer. She'll learn to throw. Three assists coming last time here at home against Omaha, tying a single match program record. Just a squad that has been to 4 NCAA tournaments. Last one coming back in 2016. Everything is there for Matt Mott's Sooners, though. It's in front of them. They got a great RPI at 38. They are only going to better that, you would imagine, playing all the SEC teams that they're about to face. Toe poked on for Hadley Morrell. Morrell from distance. Took a hit off a body. Bounds right back to her. She'll recycle. It hit her teammate, though. Third time, and that's blocked away by Gemma. Here's Alexis Washington. Looking for Pack. Butts got to it. Gators looking to sustain some possession for the first time in this match. Or first whistle.
A couple of things in that last sequence. First and foremost being, again, we talk about defensive set pieces, and Samantha Bohan told us, and she is spot on. So many goals in this conference are scored on the second ball, the third ball, winning those. Well, Hadley Morrell had 3 slices of the pie. Unfortunate that she couldn't actually get a shot on target, but winning the second phase of play for this Florida Gator side is going to be massively important tonight.
Morrell now a 3-year starter, has flourished under Matt Mott. Emmanuel puts it in the box. How do you think Florida has started this match? I mean, you talked about getting on the board first, getting some momentum, feeling good about yourself here on the road as they try to get their first points of the SEC season.
Well, in that same critique that I gave about the second phase of play, if you look at the continuation of that sequence, it was actually a much better transitional moment. I felt like in that game against Arkansas, they didn't know where to look in terms of their outlets, but she was there in a very obvious position. She connected the next pass, and those are already really good signs of improvement, because you can see, Alex, but with Butts and with Hinnenkamp in the wide channels, they're going to look to try and create isolations, because those are 2 very fast players, very good players 1v1.
Kiefer trying to hold it up and pound it out to Hadley Morrell down the wing. Looked at by Sky Barnes. Barnes, the sophomore from Oviedo, Florida. Wednesday night, another volleyball doubleheader. It's number 6 Kentucky hosting South Carolina. That's at 7 Eastern. And then the defending national champions, Texas. Number 2 Longhorns welcoming Vanderbilt. 9 Eastern on SEC Network and the all-new ESPN app. Tonight, opening night for SEC volleyball. So just a little bit behind soccer in the calendar. Last week was when we kicked off on the pitch. Texas also has number 21 Baylor tomorrow night on SEC Network, something to look forward to. Morrell giving chase. Alexis Washington, number 12, in white. And this is much better. Charlotte McClure. His Butts dancing. Brown tackles it away. Out of bounds for an Oklahoma throw.
Riley Brown has been a really impressive player for me to watch. She's really good 1v1. Anytime you're playing in a 3-back system as this Oklahoma side is, you have to have a lot of confidence in your defender's ability to make big-time plays. And she has continued to do so for that. Look at that clean, without hesitation, and then earns a throw-in for a team the other way. Really well done.
Brown choosing to finish her career out at Oklahoma because of Matt Mott's commitment to player development. Went in the portal just before it closed. And Matt was thrilled to be able to get her. Originally a Tucson native in Arizona, played at Washington to begin her career.
Yeah, well, she fits the mold of this team absolutely brilliantly. One of the key parts of their defensive identity is an emphasis on individual duels, physicality, grit. She fits that profile to a T.
Here's Kai Chikaris, top 100 player out of high school. Probably a little too far away to go for goal herself. Everyone crowding around at the top of that 16-yard box. And Chikaris will send it in and right into the awaiting arms of Duffy, the Duke transfer who came in before last year. And she backed up a terrific goalkeeper in Leah Freeman. Matt Mott told us she will be a pro. She has all the tools. Well, half clearance will go back to Emmanuel, and this could be trouble. So an early miscue does not hurt the Florida goalkeeper.
Self-inflicted wounds. That was the entirety of Arkansas, of the first half against Arkansas. And Emmanuel, she gets a little bit nervous with the oncoming pressure of the Oklahoma attacker.
Washington beats Butts to it. Butts strong.
That's better, exactly. So you win the individual battle defensively, then you connect the next pass to send you attacking the other way. Really well done from Florida early to find their outlets. Now it's just about getting a little bit more dangerous higher up on the pitch.
And just like at halftime of the Arkansas match last week, Samantha Bohan is getting her players in the right pockets, and that wasn't what they did in the first half. That was the issue, was they couldn't sustain any type of possession, couldn't really build the way they wanted to, and Arkansas is always going to be a difficult opponent to do that against with just how tenacious they are every single possession. But she realized it, and because of that, Florida looked much better in the second 45. That's kind of what we're seeing them start to do against Oklahoma now.
Yeah, and look, Arkansas forces you to play in a lot of areas that you don't want to play in. And to your point, unless you are comfortable on the ball and can actually settle the game down, oftentimes you are forced into a style of play that doesn't really fit you, or certainly doesn't fit you as well as does the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, Oklahoma is not necessarily Arkansas, but there are a lot of similarities with how this team plays and the identity both attacking and defensively. First, Samantha Bohan, this is another shot, right? This is a chance to really see what your players can learn in a week's worth of training.
And that was something that we had, kind of talked about with her. Maybe it's fortuitous to have Arkansas the match before Oklahoma, because there are some similarities there. And the call, goal kick. Gemma, it's a no one, and there's Clifton. This is the game plan. Send it forward, put numbers behind the ball. They'll go out right in front of Megan Hinnenkamp, the 2023 SEC Co-Freshman of the Year. This is a really important match for a lot of reasons now for the Gators, because they have an absolute gauntlet coming up in the next four matches. They have 4 straight top 25 teams. It is going to be very difficult for them, especially, on the road here. You feel like, okay, well, this is actually the lowest ranked team that we're about to have in our next 3. This is the one we got to get, because we're in danger of potentially going almost halfway through the SEC season without a lot of points.
And these are the 2 most similar teams you're going to see back to back. The rest of that schedule is a lot of different styles of play, and that's what's so difficult about playing in the SEC. We're getting to a point now where just about every single team you face is going to be in the rankings at some point in the season, but you also have such a plethora of different styles. You have a South Carolina, right, who is not afraid to put one on you early and then sit back and make you break down a block of 9 players to get back into the game. You have a Georgia group that's very fluid, very young and dynamic. And so, arguably, this is the one that makes the most sense for them to get a positive result, just given the fact that they did see Arkansas previously.
Brown's on the right side of that 3-back. Centered for Morrell. Good defensive work right there. Gemma's been kind of all over the place. And just to be real, we will do our best, but Florida's uniforms don't do anybody any favors.
I was wondering how long in this broadcast we were going to get before you mentioned it. Are you going to start the petition, or am I? No, for white numbers with...
I promise you we will do our absolute best. The old college try. That actually makes it look pretty easy when you zoom in.
They're really nice kids, I will say.
They are nice. Avery Upton, who is one of the players that is replacing an entire back line for Florida this year, including their holding midfielder Lauren Donovan and their starting goalkeeper Alexa Goldberg, and she has to step in at right back for Emily Hauser, as they also, interestingly enough, moved from a 3-back last year to a 4-back. So you change a little bit there as well in terms of the dynamics of what they're doing defensively.
Yeah, that has a domino effect. Really, it's more upstream, right? Because it affects every single player in front of you. You look at this Oklahoma team, for instance. You can't play a 3-back, as we've mentioned, if you don't have defenders who you're confident in 1v1. You also can't really play a 3-back if you don't have true wingbacks who can run and who are willing to run. There is so much that goes into a decision in terms of a starting lineup, a starting formation. What I love about Samantha Bohan is that it's more about fluidity than it is necessarily about a formation. And she has really taken or given the responsibility to her players to understand the balance that is needed in game. And that speaks to the emphasis she has on player development.
You know, and a lot of that falls under, of course, in the midfield and finding the right pockets and springing your forwards. But at the same time, first that one is lofted over the top. Good ball for Washington. McCloskey got there first. Is that a system you as a forward would like to play in, where you can kind of pick your pockets a little bit more?
Absolutely. I love, from a player's perspective, I love having less of a rigid responsibility, less of a rigid formation, if you will, and much more of a creativity to where you can go and where you can attack.
It's a pretty good turn. No one was home to meet it, though, on the back post. Dendis chases it down. Serves it right back in. A little toe poke. Just couldn't get it past Emmanuel. A good try there by Merle. Just a little bit more, and that might have been the lid lifter.
Absolutely. This is what we talked to you about in the lineup card. Her intelligence in the 18-yard box. She understands runs. She understands the timing of vacancies and how to fill them. It was a really cheeky little ball into the near post, and almost an even cheekier finish to the near post.
And I really like what Morel has brought, you know, to that spot up as one of the two front, because remember, she is in there replacing the injured Naomi Clark. If you just joined us,
injured for the weekend,
has suffered a concussion in Tuesday training, and so she is going to be out at least this match and the one at Vanderbilt, which is really a tough one. And now Morel has to change roles. There's Naomi. Hopefully she can be back as soon as safely possible, because, I mean, team high 7 goals this year, leading the SEC. I mean, she started her Oklahoma career this season with back-to-back braces, so it kind of showed you what the Washington State transfer could bring to the table.
And look, it doesn't change a whole lot for this Oklahoma side. We've talked about some of the differences just in terms of player profile. What I would say from a relationship perspective that it changes the most is actually you're playing more like a true two-front with Kayla Kiefer and Hadley Murrell up top. Oftentimes when you have Hadley Murrell sitting a little bit deeper in that attacking midfield position, she's less of a true attacking midfielder and almost sometimes acting as that third striker to complete the triangle between them. So now we're just going to see a little bit more interplay between the two strikers as opposed to perhaps when Naomi Clark is on the field.
Camp did win a free kick now for Florida. Gemma standing over it. 14 games last season, 8 starts for Notre Dame. Was looking for the head, rising up as Sky Barnes. Cleared away. Washington can run on that right wing. McCloskey giving chase, trying to close her down. Washington just a little bit too quick, looking to get the cross away. Butts comes to the rescue. She did not start against Arkansas. It was the first time that happened all year long, but very much back in the lineup. They changed their starting rotation because of the formation against Arkansas.
Against Arkansas, they went much more defensive-minded, especially in that first half. Did make some changes at halftime, but they really started that match against Arkansas with 3 defensive midfielders, right? 3 players to protect that space in front of the back line to mitigate some of the transitional attack that Arkansas can provide. I love that they have swapped back to a more attacking-minded shape with 1 holding midfielder. It's really that 4-1-4-1
because what that allows is it allows Butts, it allows Hinnenkamp to find more width naturally, and that's when those players are at their best.
Florida is still looking for its first shot of this match, though. Already 5, just 1 on target, coming for Oklahoma. That little toe poke by Morel. I think that's what makes it even more perplexing, is that, you know, Florida was set up in more of a defensive mindset against Arkansas, and still they didn't close down that space and allowed those goals in the first half. 3 of them to go in, and that ended up being the difference. Even though they clawed back and got 2, it was a great fight, but the race was run in a lot of ways.
Well, point blank, I thought the 1v1 defending really was the beginning of the downfall for a lot of Florida's defensive efforts in the first half.
Emmanuel out to get it. It bobbles around, but she does finally pick it up after going over the back of Kiefer.
That's the funny thing about soccer, isn't it? You can have the perfect game plan, but if it doesn't happen at the individual level, that's when you really start to see the maturity of players. And that's what this Florida team is new, right? They got a lot of relationships that are still budding, a lot of people that they're still trying to really figure out how they respond in game. And that was just a bit of an overwhelming moment for this team, but what a response in the second half. Well, there's been a couple nervy moments for Jaden Emmanuel early on. Caroline Duffy, she can ping a ball 40, 50 yards, and it's really well done from Kiefer just to track that one. She is so good back to goal. She's so strong and willing. And Emmanuel nearly, as she goes up to get it, she mistimes it by about half a second and nearly almost saw that one toe poked into an empty net.
McCloskey, breath of space, but right into the foot of Brown. Oklahoma wants to use its width. Kiefer to the far post. No run, though, for Oklahoma. And that is kind of maybe if there's one knock on Kayla Kiefer, that's it. I mean, she does everything as hard as possible. And it's something that Matt Mott loves, but I think that the next step in her game, correct me if I'm wrong, is a little bit more finesse, kind of dialing it back.
Sophistication.
With that service.
Yeah, look, you're never going to take the energy, right, that kind of mentality away from a player. That's what you want, somebody who can fight, somebody who's always going to go after it 100%. But when it comes to servicing balls into your teammates, particularly running into the 18-yard box, there is a certain sophistication that needs to happen for Kayla Kiefer to really reach that next level. You want players to want to head your service. That is how you get assists. That is how you get goals. And when you are hitting a fastball at their heads, there's going to be a little thought of hesitation to go up and get that one. And so if she can really start to understand placement, texture, she really will take things up a notch.
Yeah, you don't want the thought in the back of your head to be like, if I make contact with this, do I miss the next 2 games?
Yeah.
Something that Alexis Washington, number 12 for Oklahoma, does extremely well, who is the all-time assists leader in Oklahoma history.
Well, I've been really impressed early on with what they've been doing. Look, there is a definitive game plan with Alexis Washington. They feel like they need to get her going, and the way to do that is by early touches, particularly getting her faced up and on the dribble. You've seen a couple times now that Oklahoma's been very decisive about playing down that far-hand side, the right-hand side of their shape, just to get her involved, and it's working out well for them.
Number 29, Lena Bailey, and number 99, Katie Johnston.
Brown has been able to wiggle out of duress the entire match. One touch to Kiefer on the wing. Morel helping her out. Kiefer gets it right back. What a save by Emmanuel. Kiefer can't get it for a second try. Welcome to college soccer, Jaden Emmanuel. I mean, she's been doing it plenty for the Gators over the years, but this is her first time as the #1 starting a match for historically the best team in the SEC.
And this is why she got the start today. She is more explosive in her saves and her ability to stay on the line. She's quite comfortable making those shot-stopping actions. what a save to keep Florida in this game early on.
Sooner fans, get those ones in the air. It's a corner kick.
Look at her comfort level on the line. She's not stepping out. She's not cheating near post. She's not trying to find the service. She's got her feet set. She is watching it the entire way, and that is point blank range.
Manuel again. That one popped off the crossbar. Oklahoma absolutely threatening. I think Kiefer probably thinks she could have done better with the first opportunity, and this one's off the woodwork by Morrell.
That's a bit unfortunate for Emmanuel, who was coming out to make the save, and it gets deflected off the head of a Florida defender. Favorable for Oklahoma, and now all of a sudden you've poked the bear, and they have got a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence going forward, and they're finding really dangerous pockets to transition and get 1v1s out of.
Last touch by McClure. Throw it into some open space for Washington, and earns the corner for Oklahoma. And everyone here at John Crane Field can feel the momentum switching right back to the home side.
When you look at ways to beat a team like the Oklahoma Sooners, there's a couple things that you want to do defensively, but in these situations, it is a must to win the 50-50s and collect the second phase.
Dendis to the spot. Morrell just wide.
Well, first and foremost, I'm not sure I've ever seen so many volleys attempted in my life by one player in a matter of minutes as Hadley Morrell. She finds herself in a wonderful pocket of space, and Alex, that's what I'm talking about. That's that second phase, right? The initial contact is good. It's a 50-50. You don't necessarily win it, but you don't allow a goal. But then the backside defender for Florida just gets caught ball watching, and Morrell just floats right behind into the frame of goal and nearly again finds herself with an opening goal.
If you're Matt Mott, you got to feel like it's on its way. Especially in the last 5-10 minutes, dominated by Oklahoma. And still the Gators looking for their first shot. This is a team that scored 17 goals already this season against some very difficult competition. They posted 2 on Arkansas in the loss last week. So you know that they're able to find it. They've been getting it from all over the park as well. 7 players with 2 goals this season. And because of injuries last year, they just never got the attacking dynamics that they really wanted to. They didn't have the personnel. And this is a very different team, though. Colby Hale, the Arkansas head coach, has had so much success over the last few years, you know, saying that he would recruit 5 or 6 of the top options.
I love this attacking team.
So where is the disconnect for Florida right now? Is it the midfield battle in your mind?
Absolutely. They have not won one 50-50 challenge. Right now, the Oklahoma defensive midfielders are reading every single entry pass. They're winning every single 50-50.
We're going to get our first cards. Wow, this is Michelle Pack also picking one up with Kai Chikaris. Okay.
The aftermath.
Yeah,
understood. Apologies, Aaron Hernandez. We do like the referees in this booth. We couldn't see it. Great job by our replay team.
All right, so the 30th minute, we have dual yellows being handed out to both Pack and Chikaris.
And Michelle Pack's an interesting one, really that sink or swim midfielder for Matt Mott and his team. And I like just seeing how she's able to kind of shift in this midfield 3, just depending on the personnel that's in there. She can float from being that box-to-box midfielder to being more of that deepest lying player like we're seeing her now. And it's been really successful for them in this opening half to have her be more defensive-minded this game.
Pack number 7 for Oklahoma in white has gone from starter back in 2023, came off the bench last year, and now she's back in the 11 this season. Started now all 10 matches. Alina Bailey, who did not feature against Arkansas, which was a bit of a surprise for everyone. Just a coaching decision. She's fine. Didn't love the matchups that she presented for Samantha Bohan. Bounds out quite nicely this time. Florida on the attack. Katie Johnston, number 99 in black, ranked the number 16 forward in this year's class. There's Addie Lang. Chakaris enters the box. She drew a penalty earlier against Arkansas, but not this time.
Well, that was much better from Florida all the way around. We talked about the midfield battle a little bit. Also, the place on the field that they really could be exposing, and they're not, are the wide channels. They've got some really dynamic 1v1 players in those wide areas, and you just saw they were methodical. They tried to pull apart that defensive shape of Oklahoma out of the 18-yard box just a little bit.
Johnston, what Samantha Bohan calls a starter coming off the bench. It's a bit of a homecoming for her in just her first season in college. She's originally from Edmond, Oklahoma, just a 40-minute drive, and was heavily recruited by Matt Mott and the Sooners program. When I talked to Samantha about that, she was gave a wry smile that she was the one that
I see that in my head. I know exactly what smile I'm talking about.
Followed by a no comment.
Yeah. Well, Samantha Bohan did it extremely well with this freshman class and some of the transfer pieces. That's the thing. Florida's got all the pieces. We're starting to see the blueprint of how they actually want to play, but it takes time. It takes maturation. It takes understanding of this conference and certain situational moments you have to gain experience in. But from an attacking perspective, a team who could not score goals at all last year, already well on their way to amassing what they did in 2024.
"17 goals for Florida, most through 8 games since 2016. And they went to the NCAA tournament that year. But one of the more surprising stories of college soccer is the fact that Florida has not been to the big dance since 2019. 22 times in their history, but none in the last 5 years. Full head of steam here for Juliet Rayo. She had the lone goal against Kentucky in that 2-1 loss last week for Oklahoma. Right into Barnes. Johnston dancing. Was looking to get it up to Hess. Finds its way back, though, to Gemma. Every Saturday, Marty and McGee and SEC Nation are getting you ready for football with SEC game previews and the latest news from around the conference. The crew is going to be right here in Norman on Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern for the Sooners and Auburn. You can catch it here on SEC Network and on the all-new ESPN app. Nice start for your Bulldogs. What's the temperature
I almost had a
reading?
Heart attack last week.
I mean, you have a heart attack though when they're up by 21. So I'm not reading into that at all. You're like a Liverpool fan.
I have listened to you complain about several teams. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Well, I don't happen to follow and be a supporter of one of the best teams in college football. So sometimes you just don't know how good you have it. Tatum O'Coin's going to come in here for Addie Hess.
Number 3, Tatum O'Coin. Number 10, Madison Jones. And number 16, Finley Murphy.
Some late substitutions here now for both teams. Here comes Drew Legan, see number 11 for Oklahoma. State champion at Jenks High School, less than a 2-hour drive where we are here in Norman, around the Tulsa area. We'll see if these new players can come in and make a bit more of an impact.
Well, I like the substitution for Florida, particularly Madison Jones. I think she is a player who can take control of any match you put her in. She's got the distribution and the vision to connect the thirds. And then we alluded to Michelle Pack and her role as midfielder substitutions change. And she's going to operate now a little bit less as the deepest lying midfielder, more as that box-to-box midfielder with number 4, Sophie Morin, coming into the match.
Kiefer is going to earn Oklahoma's 4th corner. First one from this side, though. Here is Morin, the Cheshire, England native, who plays for Ireland's under-19 national team. On top of the net. She'll have wanted to do better there with her first opportunity. Spent her first 2 years at UTSA in San Antonio. Matt Mott talking about Sophie Morin, just loves her IQ, loves the way that she understands the game. Not a surprise growing up across the pond with it basically being more a religion than a sport. Just something that you follow from birth. Here's a potential chance now for Tatum O'Coin. Cuts it back in. And that was right into Ali Lacanol. We've not called her name at all yet, but Lacanol is the reigning Gatorade Washington Player of the Year. And I guess that's a good thing for Oklahoma, that she hasn't gotten any action because they haven't been getting it anywhere really around Caroline Duffy's goal.
Well, right now, Florida continues to force the issue centrally, and this Oklahoma Sooners team are so good about getting compact and getting compact quickly, especially when it's around their 18-yard box. The more they can pull that shape apart and play in the width, I think the better chances of success Florida will find inside the 18.
Finally got a little bit of space there, and Brindley Murphy, coming over from South Carolina this season, a 2-time Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year when she was in high school. Someone they're really trying to get on track because she is elite in the air. Scored a couple of goals against USF in their preseason, and anything to add to that attack is certainly helpful. It's going to be off of Bailey.
Subbing onto the pitch for the Oklahoma Sooners, number 22, Brendan Mulaney, and number 28, Luciana Sadukate.
Morell's going to take a much-deserved breather for Matt Mott. She'll get the final 6 minutes off as Luciana Ducate comes in. Long Island native, played at Stony Brook, really had a bounce-back season and breakout season in a lot of ways. 12 goals, 8 assists, all CAA first team last year. See her wearing number 28 for Oklahoma. Hadley Morell, so far this game, has been the most potent threat for either team.
Absolutely, and look at her vision, runs in the box. She nearly gets a toe poke on a near post run. And then how about this chance? Misplayed by Emmanuel off the deflection, and then she shakes it on the bounce and hits the crossbar.
Another chance potentially for Oklahoma. Will bound around for a corner. You're set to Ducate getting involved.
Well, if I'm Oklahoma, I'm continuing to insert pressure in and around the 6-yard box, particularly on these set pieces. We've already seen Emmanuel be a little bit hasty off of her line.
Mulaney. Right back into the mixer. Trying to work some Oklahoma magic. Pack. Too much for Mulaney. She misses the tackle. And now here is Florida once again. Morin giving chase. Maybe a chance at the very end. Duffy was coming out to meet her, but Looked like Katie Johnston just got the deflection. It's going to be a corner first time now for Florida.
Well, this starts way back behind the center circle, and it was Sophie Morin who, in that instance, there are times to step up and to actually deny service, deny the next pass, but then there are times to delay, and Sophie Morin, she should have delayed there, no need to step, and that's actually what sent that transitional moment in place. But again, Brown, 1v1, she has been impeccable.
Duffy punches. Seta Ducati, bit of a whiff. And tried to play it back out wide to Gemma. Mulaney is there.
The tackle.
Here they come once again. Duffy.
Well, that's extremely well done from Duffy. But if you're the Florida Gator, Lena Bailey, you've got to be making that run near post. You have got to get vision, something in front of Caroline Duffy. That could have been a really nervy moment where you forced her to track a ball through traffic. Instead, everybody on the Florida Gator side just stepped back. And that's really the mentality shift, right, for this attacking group. They've got a lot more tools than they did last year, but they are still missing that hunger inside the 18-yard box.
You feel like that is a role that Addie Hess can really fill. But Hess getting the break right now. So something to keep in mind going into the second half. Getting real jammed up in midfield right now. Brown. Bailey. Her headband flies off. Doesn't miss a beat. And then absolutely takes down Drew Legan.
And that's a good example of what we were just referencing with Sophie Morin. Drew realized that she actually had good rest defense. She had a +1 matchup behind her. And that Lena Bailey, with her speed, gave her just a window to step and deny the next action. Really good 1v1 defending.
Last 10 minutes, much better here for Florida. Here's Sindelar. Bailey couldn't get on the end of it. Probably would want to do just a bit better there. Well, almost through the first half, and Marion, aside from a couple chances here or there, not a whole lot to write home about.
For some reason, I was not thinking that this would be a 0-0 first half, though. I feel like the energy for both sides, they know that they need to get back on right footing. Second week of SEC play, both of them knowing that the game plan that they wanted to execute coming into this one. I think you're right, though. I think it's really come down to individual moments. And for Oklahoma, they've had great moments to negate some positive Florida attack. And on the flip side, Jaden Emanuel has come up big when she's needed to.
That's poked forward, set to Ducati. Rayo was able to flip it into Jaden Emanuel on Claire Curran's shot. Couldn't test the keeper there.
Well, this final shot has to be better. But look at that cut on a dime. But it's actually really good support defense. But then every single Florida defender is all sitting ball watching. And then it allows so much open space on the backside. There could have been 2 or 3 different Oklahoma runners come in completely unmarked. And that was something, Alex, we saw in the Arkansas game. Oftentimes they got to be, there's a difference between being compact and being narrow. And they often got too narrow, too invested in the ball instead of what was going on around them. At a near example yet again.
These 3 points very much still up for grabs. Just about 45 minutes through. Different story than Florida found themselves in last week, that's for sure. They were down 3-0 heading into the interval. Had to claw back, found a couple of goals. This one's very much in the balance still. And a late free kick now coming in the offensive third for Oklahoma here with 15 seconds left. Should be much further up, and the clock hasn't stopped. Can Morin get something off just real quick? Floats it towards the far post, punched away by Emmanuel, and there's your first half. Neither team has found the breakthrough here after the first 45 minutes. Jaden Emmanuel paring away 3 shots on target from Oklahoma, 10 total. But the Gators yet to threaten the goal of Caroline Duffy.
I think she's been big when she needed to be. We knew that her description is a goalkeeper who can make explosive plays. And while there is a little bit of nervy moments as it pertains to her decision making coming off the line or staying on it, it was made up for in some of the big time saves that she made.
Joined by the Florida Gators head coach Samantha Bohan. Samantha, at Oklahoma, I mean, had a lot of great opportunities. Jaden Emmanuel did look great, but what is the key to unlocking this Oklahoma team in the midfield?
Good Lord. Let me know. No, I mean, this was just, I don't recognize, you know, that the first probably 30 minutes of that game. So I had a lot of prayers on the sideline to try and keep my composure a little bit, because I just think we, you know, got really caught up in how they're playing is very, I don't want to say predictable, but we knew that's what it was, and we just haven't handled that very well at all. We've been on our back foot from the beginning. Honestly, I saw it in warm-up, and I challenged our team. They've got to be better. I thought the players that we put in made a difference, and just honestly just won balls. I mean, I don't know in that first 30 minutes how many 50-50 balls we won. I just felt like they were first to everything. So good on Jay and some of our defenders.
But to make your point about the identity of this Oklahoma team, we actually asked our stats guy up here in the booth, track the passes between the center backs. If it gets to be more than 3 or 4, you know, that's going to be a cause for concern for Matt Mott. He is not someone who wants things to be kept in the back for very long. He wants to get it up the field to his playmakers. And as he mentioned, Kayla Kiefer, an absolute handful right now.
And we're being told there haven't been any.
He's probably happy, at least on that front.
Not in the score right now, but what makes the difference here for either team? Because you know, you can extrapolate this all you want. Yes, we have 9 matches, including this one, left for both teams in SEC play, but looking forward for an NCAA tournament bid, Sooners can't lose at home to a team that's 82 in the RPI. I mean, there are multiple layers here as we unpack this match.
No doubt. I think for Oklahoma in the second 45, it's a little bit more of a simplistic approach. It's a rinse repeat of what you did in the first half with a touch of composure in the 18-yard box. You do that, you're going to sneak 1 or 2 in, because they've proven that they can't really handle the transitional moments. And then if you're Florida, I do think it's a little bit more complicated. You heard Samantha Bohan say, I didn't even recognize the team that started the first 30 minutes. So for them, they need a complete rehaul. But we remind you, they also needed a complete rehaul against Arkansas and came out and got an early goal quickly and then cut the deficit in half.
Now, where I feel like Samantha Bohan has an advantage against a lot of different teams and a lot of different coaches in NCAA is she is a master tactician.
Absolutely.
And she can go back into the dressing room and see, here's where we can be better, here's where we need to be better in terms of on the pitch.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? As a coach who is a tactician and wants to give her players fluidity and decision-making, you have to trust that responsibility to them. But also, as a winner that Samantha Bohan is, she has come from a winning program for multiple years, a winning player herself. That is a little bit of the lack of composure she felt like she maybe had on the sideline in the first half, because you have to be willing for them to make mistakes.
All right, well, here we go with the final 45 to try to decide if either team is taking away 3 points or if they're going to split them. Washington on the move to start it off. Looking in front, Juliet Rayo! She scores for the second straight match. And immediately after halftime, Sooners lead. Fine form for the sophomore.
Rinse, repeat of what you did in the first 45 minutes with a touch of composure, and this is exactly it. They wanted to get Alexis Washington on the dribble early, and it's just lax from Florida. There is no reason that Juliet Rayo should be running wide open in the midfield. Granted to the pass from Alexis Washington. That is vision, and that is composure in terms of the assist. And then Rayo, I loved the prep touch. She took it away from the oncoming defender and buries it to the back post. And Jane Emanuel, you saw her in that reaction, not pleased with the work rate from her defensive group in front of her.
Rayo's 4th goal of the season, and Alexis Washington adds yet another assist to her record number for Oklahoma. 22 now in her career. Picture perfect ball by Washington. Put it on a tee for Rayo, and the sophomore is really finding herself. Scored the only goal for the Sooners in their loss to Kentucky last time out. And they have the lid lifter.
Well done.
That's Michelle Pack at her best.
Well, here's what I love about a player like Alexis Washington. You get her confidence, you get her touches early, particularly on the dribble. She's much more willing to then go make those vertical runs for you to find an outlet, which opens up a whole different set of problems for the opposition.
Jerry Butts in Florida chasing yet again a team that, as you mentioned, Marion, thrives on momentum. And right now they don't have it. So just like they didn't in the second half against Arkansas, they found a way to work past that.
A lot of what stood out to me against Arkansas was a commitment in the second half to the individual battles. And sometimes when you're looking for momentum, that's what it comes down to. A big-time player making a big tackle or having a little bit more commitment to go win consecutive 50-50 balls. That's what Florida needs right now. They need that field general to step up and take control of this game. Charlotte McClure is who I'd be looking at.
You see in the second half, that has been where Oklahoma has feasted. Late challenge came in with Kayla Kiefer. She went in on Barnes, I believe. And Aaron Hernandez has stopped the clock. And Sky Barnes for Florida, and Kiefer gets to her feet now for the Sooners.
Well, Barnes trying to slalom her way through a bunch of traffic, and
it's a good challenge.
I think both players ended up getting a little bit of the brunt of that one.
And it is going to be an Oklahoma free kick, so it went against Barnes. Glad you are with us here. Make us a part of your Thursday evening. Alex Perlman, the former Georgia great, Marion Crowder with you here on a hot day in Norman, Oklahoma. Right now 81 degrees, but it was 86 the high today.
Has not stopped this tremendous crowd from coming out and supporting their Oklahoma Sooners program.
Here's Kiefer trying to find the byline. Gemma just ushers it out of bounds. Looking for a complete culture change here at Oklahoma. That is what Matt Mock can do. He did it at Ole Miss, and we are seeing it now here in Norman as well. An outstanding crowd. Your first trip here, Marion. I'm very surprised and impressed with what we have seen.
The facilities are top tier.
Go long over the top for Hess. But this time, Lacanole is there. Rayo. I think advantage being played for just a moment. Aaron Hernandez is waiting to see if Rayo might come away with that one, but after she did not, free kick has been awarded. Well, he figured the first goal would open things up and change the tenor of this game. It certainly has.
Revisiting one of the things that we said in the first half, we said right now, especially the way that this Florida Gators side has responded or not responded depending on the day, it's all about scoring first. If you're someone coming in to play the Florida Gators, you want to get that first goal and you want to crush any type of momentum, confidence that could be gained. And right now, because they're a little dodgy on their back line, particularly in their 1v1 defending ability, it puts them in a tough position to have to go and chase the game. Hence that second and third Arkansas goal that we saw.
The giveaway in midfield. Morrell. Kiefer in front. Barnes just staying on that left shoulder of Morrell. Emmanuel clears the danger. Sooners already looking for their 8th win of the year. In a good position because they are a team that, with a lead, can see one out. Kiefer. Easy for Emmanuel in the end. First collegiate start tonight. He's come off the bench every match before this, played the entire second half in every single one but one. And I think it is telling, though, with Emmanuel staying in to play the second 45
First
as well.
time we've seen it.
We have seen a Paloma Pena and Emmanuel switch off
all 8 games
at the most times. I think one they actually kept Pena in there, but just one, which is certainly significant here at this point in the season.
It reminds me of Tennessee last year or 2 years ago, swapping goalkeepers every single match. I mean, up until really the SEC tournament. I'm never really a fan of that because the responsibilities as the #1 goalkeeper change drastically than from the backup. And you want your goalkeeper to have the right mentality, and you want them to gain consistency in that mentality, consistency with the way that they prepare. So I know that Samantha Bohan is likely trying to decide quickly who is going to be their consistent #1.
You know, with that long ball over the top that we just saw, Marion, is that Florida just trying to gain some field advantage?
Yes, release pressure, right? Because Oklahoma is a side who they're not afraid to go pressure you and go with numbers, especially in the midfield. And so Florida was just looking to gain some territory. And really where I thought one of their bright spots in the first half was instead of just clearing it like that, they were finding actual outlets. Granted, it was getting jumped perhaps centrally sometimes, but there was the thought there to make a pass instead of a clearance.
Right into Washington. This could be dangerous. You don't want her running in space. Morrell on the wing sends it low, and on the goal mouth, Kiefer couldn't just find anything on it, which surely would have been the second. Just a little poke.
Well, keep your eye on Kayla Kiefer and watch how she actually outruns the shot angle. She's already even with the near post. If she makes contact with that ball, there is no way that it's going to stay on frame. As a striker, and this is something Kayla Kiefer will have to continue in maturation, you've got to recognize timing as it relates to the frame of goal. You've actually got to pause that run for a few seconds so that you can give yourself a chance to strike.
It fell to Butts over the top, and Hess had the chance to equalize, goes begging over the bar.
See, that's the good win. That's the 50-50 challenge that is necessary to get your team some momentum. And it's a decent idea. Brown doesn't get enough clearance off of that one, but Addie Hess, she doesn't need a lot to work with. She is a poacher, and you leave one like that near the 6, and more times than not, she is going to put it in the back of the net.
It didn't miss by much there. Here comes Kiefer, full head of steam. Slowed up for a moment by McCloskey. Poked it forward, Morrell. There's Barnes. Pack. And ran into Aaron Hernandez.
He got himself in a little bit of a triangle there. Didn't know his way out.
Samantha Bohan just knows how crucial this match is for her team. Chance to get back above 500 overall with a win, their first 3 points of this season in the SEC. Because yes, you look at the schedule, it's 10 matches. You say those are a lot of opportunities to gain up to 30 points, but they go by quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And when you don't take advantage of them, you can find yourself towards the bottom of the table very fast. And remember, only 12 of the 16 teams will make it to the SEC tournament in Pensacola.
And that opens up even a larger conversation into the world that is the NCAA tournament and the bids associated. It'd be hard to believe if you weren't one of the 12 teams to get into the SEC tournament that you would have a chance to get into the NCAAs, as opposed to a conference like the ACC, where it's just 6 teams, and then, you know, it opens up some at-large bids for ACC contenders who didn't technically make their postseason.
It's a help-hurt type of thing.
Yep.
And as the season goes on, we'll talk more and more as we get closer and closer to the postseason. Right now, though, this is match number 2 in conference play, so a chance to, you know, write their own story for both clubs here in Norman. Settled down to Canty. Hinnenkamp descended clear. Rayo. What a turn. Nice little pass back to Canty. Shuffled out wide. Where Washington is most dangerous, it earns Oklahoma its 6th corner of the match.
Well, the Florida Gators need to take a little bit of a page out of Alexis Washington's playbook. She is so disciplined, keeping shape expansive. She always provides an outlet for dangerous services for this Oklahoma Sooners team. That's exactly right now what Florida is lacking.
And Emmanuel up above everyone. I am really enjoying what Julia Rayo's putting down here in the second half.
Unsung hero.
And she created that corner pretty much all herself. McCloskey. There's Hess, where she's at her best, back to goal, turns and fires. She's had a couple of chances where I think she would want them back.
Well, Oklahoma does not need to give away all this space in the midfield, because, Alex, you're exactly right. Julia Rayo, she overcommits on that one, and then when they can find Hess back to goal, it's dangerous for anybody. She is so good at making her presence known in front of the center back. She challenges center backs with some of the best strikers we see in this conference, and her ability to not only get faced up, but get faced up in a favorable shot window, it's excellent.
Is it almost like Florida's trying to be too fine? Because they've had chances, but they have not tested Caroline Duffy in goal yet. Still no shots on target. Pack breaks away from the pack. Hess catching up all the way back from her number 9 position.
Good and bad, right? You love the effort that you see from your striker on the defensive side of the ball, but she is your 9. She is your target forward. You need her as the highest point in the field, near the 18, where she's at her best.
And now she's not here for this attacking possession.
And that's something I've noticed about Addie Hess, is she is a playmaker. She wants to be on the ball. She wants to be involved in the attack. If she doesn't feel like that's happening, she will have a tendency to drop deeper and deeper to make it happen. And so Florida really does not need that. They need to continue finding ways to find her in the feet.
Okay, so Marion, you were an excellent striker in your day. When you're not getting possession, when you're not being fed the ball, it can be very easy to get frustrated, right? But you can't leave that spot, because you never know when it's going to break.
You have to rely on your strengths, right, as an individual. For Addie Hess, it is being closer to the 18, being back to goal. If you're someone like Megan Hinnenkamp, right, as much as you want to be involved, you also have a responsibility to give your team an outlet the other way. So while, yeah, I completely understand the mentality of the striker who is frustrated that they're not involved, and so they want to go find the ball, but you also have to have the discipline to know what you are good at and where you can actually help your team the most.
Here's Hinnenkamp, warded off beautifully by Dendis. Gemma. This is something we have not seen from Florida, trying to build out of the back in the attacking third. Up ahead for Johnston. Settles to Chakaris for a moment before it's cleared away. Clifton got to it. About a half hour to go. Difference maker Juliet Rayo's 4th goal of the season and 2nd in as many matches. Just 1 minute, less than a minute, into the second. All right, well, if you're just joining us, let's catch you up. Not a whole lot to write home about in that first half. Hadley Morell just hitting the crossbar, and then here's where the action started. 46th minute. What a ball by Washington. Rayo finds the back of the net, and then this is really Florida's best opportunity with Addie Hess converging after Riley Brown couldn't quite clear it away. It goes over the crossbar. Still no shots on target for the Gators. 4 for Oklahoma. They've converted 1 of them. There's the hero right now, Rayo, who has stepped into the starting lineup tonight because of the injury to Naomi Clark, suffering a concussion on Tuesday. She's out tonight, as well as Sunday against Vanderbilt at least. And Rayo has had to fill in that number 10 role with Hadley Morell taking Clark's spot. And I would say that Matt Mott can feel confident if that's what we have to see a little bit of going forward. You know, and especially if Clark needs a breather.
I think it's really important to talk about the Oklahoma of 2024 in this instance, because you're spot onto something. They weren't athletic enough, A. That is something that Matt Mott assessed very heavily this year. Went and got some players that can compete in this conference. They also weren't deep enough. And when players had spurts of not necessarily being on fire, when they had injuries, when players just needed a rest, they didn't have the next best thing. That's not the case anymore with this Oklahoma Sooners side. They have Juliet Rayo who can step into that 10 position. They can also slide Hadley Morell back into that attacking midfield position if necessary. My goodness, Riley Brown. Here's one player who I think this is a different Oklahoma team without, and that's Riley Brown. I know she gave up that foul, but I think her 1v1 defending for the most part has been tremendous in this match, and she is a player that I'm not sure that they can afford to lose.
Chakaris over it for Florida. Falls to Barnes. Barnes! The equalizer, and we're even at 1. Sky Barnes with a big one there for the Gators.
Well, we said that set pieces had to be a place that Florida won, both defensively and offensively, and they have beaten Oklahoma at their own game with this one. What a delivery, and then it's well done by Addie Hess. She actually just gets something on that to deflect it to Barnes, but what about the skill from the center back? She reads that all of the traffic is central. She cuts it back to right foot, and Alex, she hit that with vengeance. There was anger in that strike, knowing that this wasn't the performance that Florida Gators wanted to start off with, but now we've got an even ball game.
Leave it to one of the two center backs on the pitch to have the most clinical finish that we have seen so far tonight.
We've, especially on the Florida side, we've talked so much about the attacking talent. I love the attackers. Well, the center backs getting it done.
We are even once again. This one is becoming really fun here in Norman. And we still have 26 minutes and change to go. Matt Mott, as you would expect, nonplussed. Feels like that certainly came against the run of play. That's why set pieces sometimes are literally the great equalizer.
That's also why it's so important, again, to have a player like Addie Hess on your team. She earned that free kick with her willingness to play back to goal and the excellent body positioning that she continues to show us.
This could be an opportunity now for Johnston. Hess. Sindelar couldn't get on it. Was trying to play the opposite role as the provider. Wednesday night, another great volleyball doubleheader coming your way. Number 6 Kentucky hosting the Gamecocks 7 Eastern, and then defending national champs number 2 Texas and Vandy a couple of hours later, both on SEC Network and on the all-new ESPN app. Seta Ducate. There's Washington. Washington skirts by her defender. Need a little bit of help there from Upton to shuffle it out of bounds. Corner, Oklahoma.
Sooner fans, get those ones in the air. It's a corner kick. Oklahoma.
Rayo again took a deflection. Still unsettled, and Emmanuel leaps on top of it.
Well, Rayo was going for it. She's feeling a little confident. She picks up the second ball here completely unmarked, but Florida does really well to keep the number centrally, and Emmanuel collects it. No harm, no foul.
I thought for a second that might deflect off of Murphy and end up in Emmanuel's goal. Here's Chikaris, dispossessed by Morin. And now Chikaris with a dangerous tackle. And no caution.
That's a little bit shocking. That was a pretty reckless foul from me. Chikaris and Morin.
Take one more look here. Chikaris loses it. Obviously,
she
a little frustrated
just bodies her off
there.
The ball there. That's so well defended. And absolutely a from behind, no intent to play the ball, reckless challenge. Yes. I am shocked that that is not a yellow.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So Chikaris gets away with any sort of discipline there. Good battle between Morin and Chikaris. 22 minutes left. Rayo in the 46th minute for Oklahoma. Barnes equalizes in the 64th for the Gators.
Subbing onto the pitch for the Oklahoma Sooners, number 10, Michelle Pack.
Pack is going to come back in for Canty. I think some of that senior experience Canty, the freshman, but a very talented one from right here in Norman. Played at Community Christian School, just located 10 minutes from Crane Field. I have to think she'd have a healthy contingent here tonight. An outstanding crowd. They've been into it the entire match. Clifton finally does get on it. I think Oklahoma was just waiting for someone to clear it away. It's going to be a free kick now for Oklahoma.
Yeah, that right there is Matt Mott's nightmare come to life. Seeing his midfielders be back to goal, dribbling towards the back line, looking like they're about to play a pass back, right? That is not something that he wants from his team.
No, you will not see the ball played to Caroline Duffy in goal. Not part of the MO.
Certainly not on purpose.
Right. Maybe we should put that caveat in there.
But it's a very hard style of play to deal with. And here's what I love so much about Matt Mott. He has been doing this longer than just about everybody, particularly in the SEC. He branded, you know, what he did at Ole Miss and became one of the powerhouses in the conference, a team that people were so scared to play against. And he's doing the same thing here at Oklahoma. And you heard Samantha Bohan say, I don't want to say it's predictable, but she's got a point. It's fine to be predictable, but when you can coach players as well as he can and get them bought into a game plan that you can do better than just about everybody, being predictable is okay, because for some reason, people still can't seem to stop it.
And not a surprise after 13 seasons at the helm of Ole Miss that he has just made this Sooners program better in 3 years. Kiefer got away with it. Low one in. There's Gemma. Johnston has made a real impact on that wing. Hess.
Good ball.
Over the top. And Butts is offside. Flag goes up. Well, Bailey, that is. You know, that was really promising for the Gators.
Right? And that's when you're frustrated, not only as a player, as a coaching staff, because she sees the whole line. And I'll remind you, Lena Bailey is one of, if not the fastest players on the field. You don't even need to be even with the back line to win that foot race. You have got to be smarter in those situations. This is a conference of marginal wins. And those moments are the moments that really, when you start to compound one after the other, can either lead to really good results or have you at the bottom real soon.
Well, it's like we were talking with Matt Mott, you know, before we came back from break. Said, I mean, he knows it, again, better than pretty much anyone. It's like, man, the SEC, huh?
Yeah. I loved both coaches in their interview. The first comment, both of them said, Samantha Bohan obviously just trying to contain her anger. Matt Mott feels like he just needed to take a breather.
Washington played forward. Morrell couldn't get around Upton, but it is out for yet another corner. 8 of them now for Oklahoma. It's maybe a little bit surprising that Florida hasn't had more success there, but they just haven't had the opportunities that Oklahoma has in the attacking third.
Well, and despite the individual brilliance that was the Sky Barnes goal, I still would argue that Florida is not really executing the game plan they want fully. We haven't seen them play in the wide channels near enough.
Here's Dendis. Looking to give Oklahoma the lead. Clifton settled down to Morin, but couldn't get what she needed to.
Well, again, so much time and space on which phase of play. Stop me if you've heard it before. The second phase of play, right? Second balls, third balls. Florida's still not winning them. Oklahoma doing such a good job at having the pieces to collect all of the extras.
Pass to Sindelar. Sindelar from distance. And do better to beat Duffy.
Yep. And to tie a bow on that Oklahoma conversation and kind of the Oklahoma of 2024 and 2025, one of the big changes is adding a third in the midfield for Matt Mott. Played with 2 last year, wasn't good enough for him, and we're already starting to see, and we saw it in non-conference, but we're starting to see in conference just how important that third midfielder is for this Oklahoma Sooner side centrally, because that has been the area of the match so far they have completely dominated.
Is this going to be the season you think that Matt Mott gets Oklahoma to the tournament?
Oh, yeah. I really do. I do think that they have the pieces. I think they have really trusted center backs. I think they can play in that 3-back knowing that the 1v1 skills are there. I think they've got a tremendous goalkeeper in Caroline Duffy and the presence that she offers. And like what you and I were talking about earlier, they have rotation to them this year. They have an extra layer of depth to their attack this year that I don't think we saw last year. You pair that with some of the tactical changes, some of the systematic changes that Matt Mott has made, I definitely think that he gets them to the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Restless crowd here in Norman. They know what's on the line. If Oklahoma is going to go to the NCAA tournament, this is one that you circle.
No doubt.
Florida coming in just 82 in the RPI. A loss here at home certainly qualifies as a bad loss when the committee takes a look at it.
And please, if you're a Florida fan, don't think that we're calling this team bad. It's not. This is strictly data driven in terms of what's deemed quote unquote a bad loss. And right now with Florida being outside that top 50 RPI, it would be a bad loss for a top ranked Oklahoma program.
And especially, you know, coming at home. That's one of the biggest parts about it. How do you get to the tournament? What exactly is the committee looking for?
There's a couple of things, 3 of them in particular, and then we kind of start getting into decision making on the individual level. First and foremost, you cannot get into the NCAA tournament if you don't have a winning percentage above 500. The second part of that is having a marquee win. The luxury of playing in this conference is that that option is available to you more often than not. So if you're Florida right now, this would be a marquee win, beating Oklahoma at home. And then the last part to that, and I would argue probably truly the third of the 3, is that top 50 RPI, right? Because if you think about it, if you have an above 500 win and you're playing in a conference like the SEC where you're playing ranked opponents pretty much week in, week out, the RPI is going to be there theoretically. And so that RPI conversation is really for those bubble teams that, like an LSU last year who was 1 game in the tournament and then out, right? That's when we start talking about what is their overall strength of schedule look like.
And right now, I mean, Mississippi State's 2 in the RPI. Tennessee is 3. You go further, South Carolina 18, Vanderbilt 22, Alabama 24. So the opportunities are, and you haven't even reached Arkansas yet, who's 27.
Which is shocking to me because they played what I would argue one of, if not the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. But obviously wins affect RPI, and Arkansas struggled a little bit with some of those top-ranked teams.
Their best win at BYU is a really good one, though. They're 11 right now.
That's a great example
winning
of
at
a marquee
Southfield
win.
is
hard to do.
But that's the thing, is Arkansas is playing to be one of the top teams in the country, not to make the NCAA tournament at this point.
And what a great point you make, and that's exactly what Matt Mott said. And we asked him about this schedule because we looked at it, and he looked at it, right? He knows that that wasn't the toughest non-conference schedule that they could have had, but when you schedule out 2 years in advance, you are trying to predict certain things. And he said when you're scheduling non-conference, you have to know first and foremost what your goals of the season are. Theirs aren't necessarily to win a national championship yet. Theirs are to put themselves in a favorable position to go have a real run at the SEC tournament and make sure that they get an NCAA bid. And so when we're talking about non-conference schedules, I think it's massively important to also include what the program's season goals are.
You know, I'm going to take it a step further.
Oh, gosh.
Here at Oklahoma, you're trying to rebuild a fan base too, right? And a following.
Absolutely.
When the average person looks at a record and they say, Oklahoma's 7-1-1 this year. Like, they have had an incredible season. Let me go to the park. Let me go to the pitch and support them.
No doubt.
I think that has something to do with it too, right? It really is an interesting mixing game with scheduling and everything else you have to worry about as head coach. Morrell, can she get on the end of it? She finally does. Washington. Going backwards now as Brown reverses action. Headed forward, and Oklahoma has the lead. With less than 11 minutes left, the Sooners find it. Dendis, the hero so far here in Norman.
Well, this is exactly what the Oklahoma Sooners want to do. They want to create space in the width for service because they've got absolute hunters in the 18-yard box. Brown tees it up for any and everybody. And then what a brilliant flick on from Kayla Kiefer. That was purposeful. She knew that Dendis was making that run in behind. And Florida yet again losing marks on the back post in the second action.
We are going to have a video review here. Looking at a potential offside.
The previous play is under further review.
Aaron Hernandez under the hood, looking at all the angles that we have here on the broadcast, as well as all of the angles from the Hawkeye technology that is implemented at every stadium in the SEC. So they will have a really good look at this right here.
All right, so what you're going to want to look at is obviously checking to make sure that Kayla Kiefer is first onside. So there are 2 points of contact. Oh, from that angle, that looks really questionable if Kayla Kiefer came from an offside position to an onside position. I would argue that that's probably what they're looking at over the run, because once that ball is touched by Kayla Kiefer, Dendis is well in front of Florida's back line. I believe that what they're looking at is Kayla Kiefer's offside to onside positioning.
Now here is what Hawkeye has. So obviously you can see a little further down the pitch. I think she's offside.
She's off,
That's a pretty good look at it.
Yep, if we're looking at that left wide angle was what I was looking at, it did look like Kayla Kiefer was offside when the delivery from Brown occurred. And we're wrong.
So it is a good goal.
Subbed onto the pitch for the Florida Gators, number 9, Abby Hatch. And subbed onto the pitch for the Oklahoma Sooners, number 23.
Good goal. Oklahoma has the lead here in the 80th minute. And Samantha Bohan is maybe wondering the same thing as we are. I didn't see a demonstrative point from Aaron Hernandez, but I may have been looking at the replay myself. And Bohan is flummoxed. And now Florida once again is chasing. Oklahoma has not trailed, but for a lot of this half, It has been tied. Gators on the offensive. Johnston. Brown sends it away. Barnes over the top. It's going to find Duffy. This is turning into a season of what-ifs at this point right now for Florida. Here's Morrell. Flag up on Oklahoma. Offside. Less than 9 minutes remaining.
All right, so that's the delivery from Brown, right? So at this point, it's hard to tell from that angle if Kiefer is onside or not. This is better, although we can't see the ball delivery. And see, I understand it's before, yeah, so I think that's tough. Let me explain why I think it's tough. You have to, in order to make an offside or an onside call, you also have to have the point at which the service was delivered to actually make that call. And in those two angles, you're kind of assuming when the ball is actually leaving her foot. So it is a difficult call. Obviously, Aaron Hernandez didn't see enough to overturn it.
Call on the field was officially confirmed.
I would actually argue, too, if the call on the field would have been offside, it probably would have stayed offside. That's one where it is a judgment call through and through.
And now Florida's getting everybody up, including Emmanuel. Too far for Bailey. Florida still has not led in SEC play yet this year, and they are in danger of dropping their first 6 potential points now.
So here is our game look. And from this angle, she actually does look even with the very, very far outside back. The furthest outside back, Kiefer looks like she is onside. And I'd say that that's probably the best angle that we have, because it also shows the point at which Brown actually delivered the ball.
Another chance now, looking for Hess in the box. Maybe too much on it, though, for her to collect.
Yeah, looking at our game replay again, I do think that that is a good call by Aaron Hernandez. It's a tough one, no doubt about it. And as we talk about with any sport, the call on the field has to have irrefutable evidence to be overturned. Don't think we got it just based off the game replay that we just showed you. And also, amidst all the chaos, didn't even get a chance to talk about the immaculate finish. Matt Mott asked for the same thing in the opening 45 minutes. In the second half, he just wanted to have a little bit more composure in front of goal, and my goodness, has he gotten it.
You see why Lexi Dennis was Conference USA Freshman of the Year at Middle Tennessee last year with 4 goals and 4 assists. She puts in her 3rd of the season, and it was a banger. Michaela Kiefer is going to get a break. Less than 6 minutes remaining now. Too far for Seta Ducati. Pack. The unsung hero in a lot of ways of this midfield.
Well, Marion, important now for Florida, just over 5 minutes remaining, that they don't hit that panic button. There is still time to advance the ball, and we know that they have the individual quality in the attacking area.
Here's a little bit where their match last week is going to differ from this week. Oklahoma is very okay sitting numbers back. When you look at Arkansas, they will tell you up front, they do not play preventative defense. So they could be 2-1 up in this scenario. They're going to try and go get a third goal. Oklahoma's not going to be that hasty. They're going to be a little bit more disciplined coming out of their shape at this point. So it will be a heavy amount of traffic for Florida to work through. But again, the ball has to go wide so that they can find Addie Hess, who has been arguably the best attacker for Florida this evening. They can find her in isolated areas centrally.
Oklahoma will have no issues doing just that here with 4.5 minutes left. Remember, in college soccer, when we had 0-0s, the game is over. There is no stoppage time. Nothing is added. Our referee, Aaron Hernandez, does have the ability to stop the clock, however. Of course, you don't do around the world in football. Can Bailey get to it? Yes, she keeps it in and then runs over Brown, but she comes away less the worse for wear. Riley Brown is tough.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate that her foul was the one that actually gave Florida the opportunity to get the goal. So because of that, Oklahoma is not going to get the clean sheet tonight, but you take that away, it's hard to argue between her and Juliet Rhea, who has been the most impactful.
Of course, you don't get any points for clean sheets. You get points for wins, and that is what Oklahoma is tracking to right now. Trying to get their first of the season. And this would be huge. Would vault them right up the table here after a couple of matches. It's the first time that every SEC team is also playing 2 matches in a weekend. Everyone's playing Thursday, Sunday. Two and a half minutes to go. Florida in danger of dropping to the bottom of the table after 2 matches. Still looking for their first points. No call even on the contact, though. It's going to be a Florida throw-in. This has certainly been gutsy for Oklahoma in this match. Finding a way to get back on top after being stunned on a lovely individual bit of quality from Sky Barnes. Because other than that, this has been their match.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have been the better team, and this isn't going to be a deserved 3 points if 90-ish seconds elapses.
Yeah, and look, it all starts as tactical as this game can be. It's what we said earlier. You can have a game plan, but it's got to be executed at the individual level. And we said one of the keys to beating an Oklahoma-type team is to win the 50-50s, and that did not happen for Florida. Oklahoma won just about every single 50-50 in the first, and despite a few moments for Florida in the second, they even dominated this last 45 minutes as well.
Florida still looks like is going to be searching for their first SEC road win since September 29th, 2023, when they won at Baton Rouge at LSU. It has been kind of a season. Play's going to stop here as Bailey barreled over Morin.
And she'll get the caution here with just 20 seconds to play. And just going to about do it as Oklahoma will have a free kick.
Well, that was a really tough challenge for Sophie Moore, a player who had already been a bit banged up coming into this match. And in their match, last match against Kentucky, she took a couple of hard hits. Well, what a fighter Sophie Morin is. One of the things about her is she covers a lot of ground, and she gets all of Lena Bailey's shoulder to the nose. And that cannot feel good. But every single time I watch this Oklahoma team, she is a player I circle. When she is on the field, you know her impact. She covers a ton of ground. She's also probably the most tactical, situational aware player for this Oklahoma side. A key component to closing out a match like this.
Looks like job done by the Sooners. Florida did not make it easy, but it has become a bit of a season of near misses right now for Florida. And they have now allowed 17 goals in their first 9 matches of this season. Continues to be the defense. Wasn't something they had to worry about last year. It was where were the goals going to come from. This season, the opposite.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Butts just has to get it as forward as she can. It's going to go back to Duffy.
2, 1.
3 points for Oklahoma. Lexi Dendis' 80th minute winner is the difference. Your final number 24, Sooners 2, the Gators 1.
This was Oklahoma's 90 minutes for the most part. They won every single 50-50 challenge. Their midfield was excellent. And when Matt Mott asked for more composure in front of goal, it's exactly what he got. The next 12 hours, 24 hours for the Florida Gators are crucially important, because if you don't figure out a way to get a positive response from the collective, this is a season that can feel quite long, quite early.
There's the hero, Lexi Dendis. With 10 minutes left, she put it in the back of Jaden Emmanuel's goal. 3 points going to Oklahoma. When we come back, we'll put a bow on it and wrap it up, kind of like the one that's on Dendis right now.